Do your students know that you do all this?
They found all my stuff.
Oh shit! What do they say?
They love it.
Oh wow!
They absolutely love it. And the really cool ones
Yeah.
that are awake come up to me and go, Mr. Dunham, you're right. I had a former student actually at a graduation
Dang.
that came up and talked to me about lowering standards. And he goes, yeah, Mr. Dunham, they try to do that in a couple of my classes at my high school.
Huh.
He goes, that you're right, that is bad for kids. And I looked at him and I said, hey, that's cool that you agree with me.
Yeah.
I go, but take in all of my opinions, take in everybody's, but always think for yourself,
Nice.
right? Come up to your own conclusion of whatever it is.
This is like one of those Dead Poet Society things.
That's what's really cool, is connecting with kids on another level.
Nice. So I found like the cool kids table, and then everybody else is just like wanting to be friends with the cool kids table.
Oh, screw that. Dude, the cool kids, man, I hate that. Or like the people that feel like I didn't get into comedy to be cool.
Yeah.
I got into comedy because I'm on the outside looking in.
Right.
And so when people do that, like say like, you know when they do, what do they call it? It's like they're politicians around each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you're awesome and all that. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
a bunch of phonies. Get me out of here.
You must have seen it a lot more than I have. You've been around for.
Yeah,
it's
you
kind of a
see
culture
that.
shock.
Yeah, you kind of see that more with. I think when you go to the bigger clubs.
Oh really?
And then you see like there's like an in group and an out
Oh,
group
yeah.
or whatever, and that's never appealed to me.
Uh,
I want to be on the outside looking in with the rest of the cool, because to me the cool kids are not the ones that are the popular kids, but on the ones on the outside
uh,
that are awake
uh,
and talking and having real conversations,
Huh.
not just tooting each other's horn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here, Chris.
What'd you say?
Thanks so much for being here.
Oh yeah, man.
It's actually rolling.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I won't look at it.
Are you LA native?
Let me see. Do I look better with the glasses on from the side or with
It doesn't matter. It gives you that teacher look.
Oh, we'll go with the teacher look.
Nice.
No, but I'm originally from California.
You are?
Yeah, the
Where
Bay
else?
Area.
Oh, really?
Yep. I grew up in Fremont until I was 12.
Oh, wow.
And
I know
then
where that is.
yeah, then moved right across from Oakland, right?
Mm.
Then I moved to Contra Costa County to a place called Brentwood, and lived there until
Where's that?
East Bay. So
Ah.
closer to Antioch, Discovery Bay,
Huh.
and I lived there until I was 16. And then I moved to Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why'd you move to Pennsylvania?
Well, when I was a freshman in high school, my dad had a massive heart attack
Oh, dang.
and died unexpectedly.
Oh,
And so we stayed in California as long as we could, you know, but it was just without his income, we couldn't
Oh, man.
sustain it. And my mom and dad were originally from Western Pennsylvania,
So.
so we moved. All we did was move closer to family,
Huh.
which had its own blessings.
Huh. How old were you when you moved back to Pennsylvania?
16. I was about to turn 17, so going into my junior year of high school.
Was it tough?
I would say it's tough because of the fact that you're making that transition and you're losing a lot of friends. But the friends, I'm still, one of my best friends today is still one of my friends from California
Oh,
before I
dang.
moved. So that didn't change.
Huh.
But it was actually a blessing because I went from a very average high school in California to one of the premier high schools in Pennsylvania.
Oh, dang.
And so not only academically, but also with sports. And so to give you an idea, the difference between Liberty Union High School and Erie Cathedral Prep. So Liberty High School, you only need to have 3 years of like English and math and history and science. At Prep, you needed 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, it was an all-boys school.
Oh, dang.
I would say probably a third of the kids there was only like 120 graduating seniors, so very small, right?
Oh.
But I think a third of them were already done with their freshman year of college by the time they graduated. And
Oh.
most of us were done halfway through our freshman year by the time we graduated. I mean, high school. And then basketball-wise, I went from starting as a sophomore on the team
Huh.
to when I moved to Pennsylvania, that team was so good, I rode the bench the entire year.
Ah.
So, but I would trade that in a heartbeat. I'd rather
Right.
be on a winning team that goes to the state championship,
Right.
like I did my junior year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. You want to talk about a difference a year can make? So I go from this team where I can start as a sophomore to riding the bench,
Right.
but then we play against a bunch of future NBA players throughout the year.
Oh shit. Like
Dude.
who?
Well, to cap it off, by when we made it to the state championship, we played against Kobe Bryant.
What?
Yeah, and we actually held him to his lowest output as a high school senior, 17 points. And the game can be found on
What?
YouTube, and you can see we're leading through the majority of the game. It was only like these uncharacteristic mistakes that were, when I say they were uncharacteristic, that wasn't us. And we nearly won that game.
Huh.
And years later, my buddy Julian, I would watch the game with him and everything. We'd critique, the mistakes or whatever. And then we were watching it with his buddy Keith, and Keith looked over and just went, "Man, Kobe was supposed to win. He's Kobe Bryant." And I'm like, all right, that doesn't fully...
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it would make for a great Rocky-like story. The team, because remember, the original Rocky,
Yeah.
he didn't win the fight.
Oh.
A lot of people forget that. He just gets there,
Oh.
and I think it wasn't even a draw. He lost, or it was just a draw or something.
Right.
So I think that would have been kind of a similar story.
You saw Kobe Bryant?
Yeah?
Was he good back then too?
Yeah, so there were better players than him,
Oh, really?
more polished players, but he had a will. Dude, he had this will to win
Oh.
that was very different than the other players.
Oh.
Other people were playing basketball.
Yeah.
That guy was just playing a sport that he wanted to win at. There's a difference.
Oh.
Basketball just happened to be the medium,
Huh.
and you could feel that difference. And now I may be doing some like retconning, of how what I really thought back then, but that's kind of what it felt like. There was like this sheer will of I'm gonna do what I want
Mm.
that I didn't see in a lot of the other players.
But he must not have been famous.
Oh, he was.
What?
Yeah, our coach, and I didn't think anything of it,
Oh.
but coach was like, yeah, this guy, he's the real deal.
Oh.
He's probably going in the first round of the NBA. He was the number 1 ranked high school player in the country.
Oh, right.
And so I think he was drafted either 13th, 14th, or 17th by the
Right.
Charlotte Hornets, then traded to the Lakers.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, he literally, it was, and as you can see, that work ethic
Yeah.
translated to the NBA.
Oh.
And I mean, that's why he became just an amazing player, because of work ethic. It wasn't, I mean, did he have all the natural ability in the world? Yeah, but there's been players that have gotten to the NBA that are better athletes,
Mm.
that are more natural basketball players.
Mm.
But when you combine enough athletic ability with that, I'm going to outwork you,
Mm.
that's when you go, there's Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
and then right underneath that, there's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
yeah,
What was your position?
guard.
Point guard, shooting guard?
Yeah, point guard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but point guard or two. But that's our change. So our coach. Hopefully, there's people that want to listen to basketball with this. Our coach, even though we had positions, he taught us actually how to play basketball.
Oh.
So even though there were positions, like we had 2 major ball handlers, Julian Blanks and Keith Neese. Keith, you could say, was the main point guard. Our positions were interchangeable in a way because he taught us how to play basketball.
Huh.
And so that's why I just say I'm a guard,
Huh.
just because of my height. I mean, I was one of the shortest people on the team. So
You must have been pretty good to make it to the team in the first place.
good enough. But I think also the thing that helped me was that I really would put the work in practice.
Mm.
So coach knew that I really loved the game. And so he knew I'd show up, give everything in practice. And then he also said this to me too. And it meant a lot to me. He pulled me aside after the season was over and I was about to graduate. And he goes, hey, I've always wanted to say thank you. And I was like, for what? He goes, because you always helped Julian and would talk basketball with him. Because even though I wasn't a great athlete, I could see the game. And that's something too, right? You know, I always had more of like
That's awesome.
Basketball doesn't look like basketball to me. To me, it's just chess that happens to have moving parts.
Huh.
That's it.
You should teach it.
No.
Why not?
I enjoy doing stand-up too much and doing other things. If I was just a teacher and a coach, yeah.
I would take over your life.
And I would love doing it. You know, but I just have other things where I know I wouldn't be able to give fully to.
Interesting. Do you still play?
I don't like going down to LA Fitness for the most part.
Yeah.
The reason why is because, do you ever play?
Yeah. I know there was a LA Fitness that had a basketball court inside. It was always like overflowing.
Okay, so when I go to play, I want to go and have fun.
Yeah.
Right? And you go and you see these guys out there that clearly probably never even played varsity basketball, and they're throwing elbows. They're taking the game too seriously. They're just shooting one after the other. They don't pass. It's like they're not even out there, and it's like I don't want to be involved in that. So I'll just go and, maybe a couple summers ago, I would go 3 to 4 times a week just down to a hoop close to my house.
Nice.
And I would just do drills. So it doesn't take much to get the shot back when you have all that muscle memory.
Nice.
But playing in a game, I don't know how long I could even last on the court. Maybe 1 or 2 games and I'd probably be exhausted.
3 or 4 times a week is a lot.
That was a couple years ago. And then there was a kid actually at my last school that didn't have a basketball and he really loved basketball. So I brought him my basketball from home and gave it to him. So I think I've shot around. No, I've played one time since then.
Huh.
And that was against a girl who played. She golfed at Yale years ago. Yep.
Were we on a date?
Yeah, we were dating at the time. It was very short term. Like.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like 3 weeks. She was a good athlete though. You know.
Sounds like a catch.
Yeah, on paper.
Oh really? All right. Chris Rubio also played. He uploads clips of himself playing.
That's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day.
Oh shit!
And I was like, dude, every time, man, I see those clips, I just think maybe I got to get back out. And
I know.
Yeah,
it's
you got to come out.
inspiring. We should do a 4th wall 3-on-3 tournament.
Yeah, I'd be scared to tear an ACL.
No running.
No running.
No crossover.
Oh yeah. You know what's crazy though is like especially as you get older, that lateral movement and your balance and all that is actually even more important. Because you think about it, what do people do when they get older? They lose their balance, fall, break a hip. I'm talking old people, right?
Yeah.
It's because they're walking in straight lines. There's no dynamic movements anymore.
I see.
Right? So as soon as they get to one leg,
oh yeah, I heard about that.
right? They don't even know how to balance anymore.
Huh.
So that's why stuff like pickleball
Yeah.
or things that allow them to move side to side, front to back, and all that is probably great for them.
Yeah, I guess we don't really move side to side at all in any part of our lives.
No, we don't.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
Yeah, there's no need.
So after Pennsylvania, you came back to California?
Yeah, immediately.
You missed California?
Yeah, so I was reading. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew that I wanted to live in a big city.
Nice.
And at this time, it was summertime right after graduation, and I was reading a book called The Lives of John Lennon. And on the inside, there was a thing called a chapter called The Lost Weekend, where he moved to LA for 2 years, lived with Mai Pang, which I believe that's how you pronounce her name, and she was his assistant or Yoko's assistant, and they actually dated during that time. But they called it The Lost Weekend. I went, God, do I really want to live in snow in New York?
Ah,
And I went, no.
yeah.
So I moved back to the Bay for a second.
Huh.
Lived with my buddy Steve, who I said I still remain friends with.
Huh.
I lived with Steve and his family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I moved down to LA.
Did you know anyone?
No,
Why LA then?
I knew I wanted to live in a big city,
Oh. Huh.
and I graduated. I was an
Oh,
English.
wow.
Yeah, I was an English lit major.
Oh.
So that means you don't really have any. You really don't know what you're doing with your life at that point.
Mm.
And I knew whatever it was, I wanted to live in a big city.
Nice.
And there was a part of me that started getting a little creative
Yeah.
in college,
Yeah.
but not very much of exploring that.
What was it?
I acted in like
Oh, nice.
3 plays,
Oh, wow.
and
What were they?
the first play I ever did was Arcadia by Tom Staubert, and it was an alumni play, so there was kids and adults in it. What I mean by adults, people that were older in their 60s.
Oh, wow.
And I got really lucky. I didn't have a lot of lines. I wonder if I could, even if I saw the bill, if I could remember who I played. But for some reason, in like the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette or the Pittsburgh something, I was the only undergrad that was mentioned in the review of the play, of like newcomer, blah blah blah, does such a fantastic job.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, but I had like
Is that where you went to school?
Duquesne University, and so that kind of spurred me to go, hey, being creative is kind of cool. So I acted in a few more plays,
Nice.
but I was kind of on the fence about acting, but I knew that I would find maybe something, if I lived in a big city, because you're just surrounded by so many ideas
Yeah.
and people and whatever.
Yeah.
So
You didn't like the Bay Area when you were growing up? Was it not big enough, kind of city-wise?
I wanted to live in a big city.
Like urban.
It was either New York or LA.
Nice.
And New York is the financial capital of the world, and LA is the entertainment capital of the world. So yeah, nothing against the Bay. The Bay is great. It's so laid back, at least for how I grew up.
Do you ever go back?
I've only been back maybe 2 or 3 times since, and it's usually when I was on, because I used to road dog a lot with comedy. And
Oh, wow.
so I used to stop when I would be going to the Northwest. I would always stop in the Bay and visit
Nice.
Steve, my
Nice.
buddy Steve, or my buddy Jacob, who now lives in Georgia.
You were
So-
doing road gigs a lot?
Yeah, between year 4 and year 8 of stand-up.
Oh, dang, you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, so year 4 through 8, when I say that I was on the road a lot, I probably spent half the month on the road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Holy
so
crap.
what kind of spurred it on, I started doing road stuff when I was a year into doing comedy, but then year 4 is when a comic who's now passed, his name is Siddiqui Fuller, and Siddiqui saw me at an open mic, and I had seen him before, and I was like, man, you're great, blah, blah, blah. And then I just asked him, how do you get out on the road? Because I knew he did road work. And then eventually he took my number, he hit me up, and he was like, hey, man, if you're willing to drive, dude, I'll take you with me. And so he started taking me. He saw how well I could do and open a show. And so he just started taking me to every gig that he could.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Because he knew he could trust me. So,
Where'd you go?
oh my God, we were in, so basically California, Texas,
Dang.
New Mexico, Arizona,
Holy crap.
Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington.
It's quite a trip.
Yeah, we did a bunch of a variety of stuff, but it got to the point where he could trust me with if he wanted.
Yeah.
It got to the point at one club, actually, now that I think about it, he would tell the owner, yeah, man, you don't need to have an MC. Just have Chris do the half hour plus the 10. And I would go up and do 40 minutes.
Are you serious?
Yep, and we would just do a 2-man show so I could get, because Siddiqui was cool like that. He wanted me to get that extra money.
Wow.
So I would do, let's say 35 to 40 to open it.
Damn.
And then just bring him up. And he would do his hour. And then we were done.
That's a long time.
It is, but at the start, but then once you're doing it, it goes by so fast.
Huh.
It's because then your jokes and you get this rhythm going, and time just boom, boom, boom,
Oh.
boom, boom, and you stop thinking, right? In the short sets, you're like, hey man, I got to get to this joke,
Yeah.
you know, and all that. But I always say to people, you don't even know who you really are as a comic until you're doing a half hour.
Mm.
And then the bigger name comics would probably say until you're doing an hour,
Mm.
because there's all those pockets,
Mm.
and then you become who you really are.
Mm.
And these short sets that we do, open mics or shows or whatever, there's not enough time to breathe.
Yeah.
There's not enough time for you to become the performer that you really are. When you know that you don't have to get to the next joke quickly, man, it's amazing. You end up walking the stage, you know what I mean? You stay in the act out a little bit longer, you sell it even more, because you're also just riding those waves of laughs. And that's where like I noticed for myself, like all these tags for jokes that I never would have thought of before just start flowing out of me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but I haven't been on the road in a while.
What happened to your friend?
Oh, he's passed now.
Why?
I don't, they said he died in his sleep.
Oh no.
And he wasn't anyone that ever, he never did drugs.
Oh.
Like that guy, he barely even liked alcohol. Like he used to tell me this trick about like, hey, people want to buy you drinks, just so you don't get drunk. Take your drink in with you, get to the bathroom, pour half of it out. You know what I mean? So you don't look mean, like you're not drinking.
Oh.
Because he did, right?
Nice.
He didn't really like to drink.
Yeah.
And I mean, he wasn't even, he smoked weed, but it wasn't like the guy was stoned 24/7, do you know? So I think someone's mentioned that he had been sick, you know, and maybe it was a combination of stuff. I have no clue.
Where'd you meet him? Fourth Wall?
No, I met him at an open mic in the Valley,
Oh.
a place called, well, I remember, I think the conversation that we've had was at Liquid Zoo. But I probably met him first somewhere else, but I remember having like the conversation with at Liquid Zoo. Because part of the problem, man, is like, you know, I love slotted, right? These slotted mics, boom, in and out in an hour. They're great for efficiency. They're bad for building friendships.
Yeah, that's true.
Because so everything has a trade-off, right? So you end up palling around with people, and then you have to spend all that time waiting outside, you know, till you go up and you just start chatting. And that's kind of what's missed a little bit.
Nice.
But Siddiqui was great, man. There was one time he left me on stage for an hour. Dude,
Wow.
I got off stage. The word I'm going to use, burnt. I was burnt. Physically, emotionally, mentally. I had gone through every single joke, including jokes that never should have been told on stage again during that hour. And I got off stage and I was like, why did you do that? And he looks at me, he's about to go on stage. He's like, man, he's like, you're a headliner in a features body. You got to start acting like a headliner.
Nice.
And I was like, that's how nice of a dude he was.
Was he black?
Yeah, he's black, dude. No, that's an Asian guy I'm imitating.
That's awesome. When you started in comedy, what was the reason and who did you start out with?
The reason was actually pretty simple. So I didn't know what I really wanted to do. And then I was just filling up these notebooks about how I feel about things, you know,
Nice.
what I thought about it. And then there was a guy who lived in my same building, up in North Hollywood. Him and I became friends, and one day it was late, you know, we're hanging out, having fun, and he goes, what do you do? And I go, nothing really. I mean, I just write some stuff in books. And he goes, would you share it with me? And I go, okay. So I go to my room, I go to my place, come back, I share it with him, and he starts laughing.
Oh, nice.
And I looked at him and I go, this isn't funny, bro. This is my life. And he goes, that's what I'm talking about. And So I got on stage maybe 2 times over a 4-year period
For comic?
as a comic to try
Oh.
it. But it wasn't until I was 27
Oh.
that I got into stand-up.
Huh.
And then my first real friend in stand-up is a comic named Ed Greer.
Mm.
And he was the one, remember how I said those connections that you make?
Yeah.
And palling around and all that? Ed was that guy.
Oh.
And we palled around everywhere for about, 2.5 years.
Mm.
Every mic we would go
Nice.
together. So that every time we sucked or if we were good, we'd do like a debrief in the car,
Yeah.
breaking down each other's sets, all of that.
Is it still around?
Oh yeah, Ed does stand up, but I don't know how much he does open mics.
Huh.
So I've seen him at the podcast studio where we film at once, and then I've seen him at another show. But when we come in contact, it's like old times.
Oh.
Yeah.
What year when you were here in LA doing stand up? In the very beginning?
Oh,
It
so
was before Fourth Wall.
oh yeah.
What,
So
really?
oh yeah. So let's see. I've been doing stand up for 19 years.
Holy crap.
Yeah, but one of the things you got to take into consideration is like from year 1 through year 8, dude, that's when I was hitting it hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
From basically like year 8 to like year 18, you got 2 years of COVID. I didn't even do,
Oh, yeah.
so a year of COVID, I didn't do stand up for another year after
Yeah.
that. And then I really was only maintaining.
Yeah.
Maybe like twice a week because
Yeah.
it became a hobby to me. I
Yeah.
became a full-time
Yeah, of
teacher,
course, yeah.
right? But it's been in the last year, since April of last year, 2024, that I've just been back to like,
Nice.
doing mics like 4 to 5, times a week.
Nice.
I would say 8, somewhere between, I probably average about 8 stages a week between shows and mics.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it hard coming back, or do you like it coming back?
Well, do you mean from COVID or hitting it as hard as
Hard
I
getting
did?
in Harlem.
No, it was like just getting back in the saddle because I really had something to say.
Nice.
And so,
Do you think it's better now compared to when you first started? Like,
yeah, because I have a better why I'm doing stand-up. I know it sounds crazy to say, and I think my year 1 self would barely recognize who
Oh,
I
wow.
am. But the reason why I like doing stand-up is just because I enjoy doing stand-up.
nice.
And for me, the reward is that I'm blessed enough to be alive
Mm.
to be able to do it.
Mm.
And the fact that I have something that I can do to express a creative side
Mm.
that some people never have.
Mm.
And we live in the entertainment capital of the world.
Mm.
Man, blessed.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, that's right.
And the cool thing is, speaking of Fourth Wall,
Mm.
so there's a lot of people that go to Fourth Wall that do a lot of road work too,
Ah, nice.
right? I've always said this about Fourth Wall, maybe not the North Hollywood, because that can be, that kind of boys club type
Yeah.
thing, right? But the cafe has really changed
Oh.
since when he opened the cafe.
Oh, okay.
Everyone I know that actually gets road work and plays in front of real people a lot
Yeah.
say the cafe is consistently the best open mic in Los
Oh, nice.
Angeles. Because
Hear that, Joe?
because the jokes that you work on there can translate and to regular people, unless you get too inside baseball, right?
Yeah.
Talking about stuff that's only comedy
Yeah.
related or whatever. So that's why I love going there. I like going
Nice.
there, and I like going to the Hollywood Comedy,
Ah, yeah.
and I kind of look at, although I don't go to the Hollywood Comedy as enough, because a lot of people love to sign up for that one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to, you really have to sometimes do 2 days in advance.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Where with, the cafe, you kind of feel like a day before you're good.
Are you good friends with Joe?
I've actually known Joe, if you could believe this. I forgot who told me about it, but someone was like, hey, there's a new open mic that started up in North Hollywood. I've known Joe since his second week of opening the Fourth Wall
Oh
in
man,
North Hollywood.
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was incredible. Did you ever see that clip of Joey Diaz on the Rogan podcast?
Oh, yes.
Where he's like, "Oh, Joe, I go into this place, the Fourth Wall."
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and he goes, "I tell you, dog, every time I go, those kids are hungry, and I'm learning something." And at that time,
Wow.
check this out. That thing was better when he first opened than most small produced shows in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
really?
And here's why. None of us comics knew each other.
Oh.
So everybody was supporting each other. If someone was funny, it's like, boom.
That's awesome.
No one wanted to chill outside.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we started to get to know each other. And so...
Backfired?
No. But what do you think we did? Do you think we were inside or hanging outside? We're all hanging outside now, talking to each other. Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
The reason why Joe started the Slotted was to force people to come back inside.
Oh.
Yeah, because we were all chilling.
Oh. Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so now, but that's a better system anyway.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
That's how we it was the best.
Oh.
And, so I've known Joe for a long time. I consider almost like I know Joe really well. I'll get to some of the open mics, and he'll let me in early,
Nice.
and him and I just BS.
Mm.
And then, I think you may know, but I host the 6 and 7 p.m. on Wednesdays.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, at the cafe.
Oh.
I was doing it on Thursdays,
Ah.
but our podcast, we dropped the time, dude, from, I think we were shooting at 8:45 at night, which is so late, dude, especially for a school teacher.
Yeah.
That means I wasn't getting home till like 10:30.
Oh, damn.
Now we shoot at 7. So Thursdays, the only thing I do is the podcast. So.
Would you like to talk about the podcast a little bit? Because I feel like it's blowing up a little bit, right?
Kind of, yeah. So we're 7 months deep into doing it.
Oh, wow.
And the backstory is this. Matt Jones and myself we've never been close friends outside of stand-up, but every time we would see each other, more often than not, we would spend an hour or two chatting after an open mic or a show. And he would always say, "Man, it's so easy. We just go." He goes, "We should start a podcast."
Huh.
And then Matt got into teaching. And
Is that recent?
Yeah.
Ah.
And so then he just said to me, so Zoe, that's on the podcast, is the one that helped get him his feet into working with kids. It was like in an after-school program.
Okay.
I was the one that guided Matt into becoming a substitute teacher, and then say, "Dude, go full time."
Wow.
So then Matt was the one. He was actually, I think he was either meditating or doing something, and he had the whole thing just came to him.
Wow.
Start a podcast about teaching, and so he approached Zoe.
That's crazy.
Yeah, approached Zoe and myself, and I just was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And so TikTok. And this is for anyone that is a brand new creator, listen to this. TikTok is a better platform for one reason. It doesn't have this new creator invisible jail. When you're a new creator on Instagram, YouTube, right? Unless you are a hot girl or a hot guy too, right? Just an amazing looking person or famous, they're not going to push you in the algo because it's like an established thing where they're already making so much money off other people. TikTok is more like what Instagram was years ago. So that's why our views, everything went, so we're at over 18,000 now on TikTok.
Oh my God.
We're coming up on 4,000 on Instagram. And then, so it's going. And then with Matt and I, we have the podcast. We try to we do about 9 to 10 clips a week from the podcast.
9 to 10?
Yep.
Every week?
Every week.
That's like 2 a day.
Yep.
Huh.
And then both Matt and myself do the little things that you may have seen where I'm just talking to the camera.
Yeah.
So we don't explicitly say it in it. We call those teacher talks. And we wanted to do that as an added element to make it seem like we're talking directly to you.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, those are good.
yeah, we've kind of figured out that like we're tapping into this teachers that are also have frustration,
Nice.
that are very honest about teaching, stuff like that. That tends to be like who likes to hear us.
Yeah.
Um, and so,
It's like your target audience.
yeah, it's if you ever go to um, there's a subreddit called Teachers.
Oh.
If you go to that and read it,
Yeah.
you'll realize like we're basically that subreddit brought to life.
Nice.
And Matt and I were joking the other day is that, there's some podcasts out there about teaching. It's like, isn't everything great and just the children are angels and life is great? It's a calling for us. And we're not that podcast.
Nice.
And we're not trying to be.
That's awesome.
It's like, hey, at Burger King and McDonald's or Burger King and Taco Bell, choose which one you want to go to.
Huh.
We have that, like we kind of look at it as when we tell our stories, right? Teacher talks. Something either needs to be funny, it needs to be funny, interesting, real, or heartwarming. If you can be all four, great. If you can't be, cool. But being articulate. If you notice, we're not negative. It will come off as negative to some people, but it's actually just being critical of stuff, right? And trying to be at least funny or be insightful to something. Those also make for the best podcast guests. Podcast guests that want to hold back, we can't get a lot of clips out of them,
Right.
because they don't want to be perceived as a negative person, so they're unwilling to go to places that it's not like I hate kids.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, yeah, this job is really difficult, and man, there was a time that I was sitting crying in my car. They never want even that type of thing to be shown.
They don't want to be seen as a bad teacher or something.
Or as a bad person or negative.
Interesting.
But I get it. But to those people, now we're trying to screen guess a little bit better and say, hey, we're more like a 12-step AA program for teachers on a pirate ship. All right?
Teachers with PTSD.
Yeah, if you have PTSD, we're for you, right? And well, I'll even say, go watch the teacher talks. If you're like, yo, this is the kind of stuff I want to talk about, we're going to be great for you. But if someone isn't that and they still want to be on, we try to get them to tell more stories. Just get into your own stories, your own background or whatever. We could still work with you, but it's going to be hard to get good, engaging clips.
Why do you think there are so many frustrations with the teacher? It sounds like your audience is...
So you have a combination of the system itself. What most people don't know about public education, the public has sued the public education system into oblivion. So a lot of the policies that are in place for academics and for behavior is a result of those lawsuits.
Oh, I see.
So it's them complying with the lawsuits. So for example, in LAUSD, people walk around, they go, man, why do I have to carry around all my books? This is ridiculous. And they're not allowed to use the lockers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go back 20 years. There was a lawsuit. A family sued saying that it violated, say a kid was bringing contraband to school. That's why they're searching a kid's locker, right? They said that they sued and said that you were, I think it's the Fourth Amendment, the illegal search and seizure or something. And so they sued and won.
Oh, they won.
And they said it violated it. So LAUSD has to make a decision, right? Well, do we just let kids and we never go into the lockers? Well, we know what's going to happen because they've been confiscating weapons, drugs, whatever. So they just went, yo, no more lockers.
What?
So that's why the policy on paper doesn't seem to make any sense. But then when you look behind it, that's what it's for. But when they're selling it to the public, they can't sell the public on, hey, we're doing this because of this. They'll usually use some like flowery language or whatever to sell people on the policy. It's kind of like when they got rid of, so there were lawsuits. So a group got together and sued and said that students being suspended denies them their equal right to an education. But why do you think kids were being suspended? Because they were doing crazy stuff, right? And some lawsuit said, you know what, you're right. And they won,
Oh wow.
right?
They're always winning.
They're always winning. So what happened is now, like, schools like LAUSD can't suspend for the stuff that used to be suspendable offenses.
Wow.
But they can't turn around and be looked at like they're lowering standards, right? And so they go, hey, everyone. They don't go, hey, we're going to be taking away suspensions and everything. They can't say that. So they go, we're going to institute restorative justice to help better accommodate students. And you go, ooh, and everyone goes, oh my God, restorative, especially a place like LA. I mean, everything is restorative. Restorative yoga. You know what I mean? Restorative and justice. Oh, it feels so good. But the public buys into that and they go, oh, that sounds great. But what they don't know is that means that now schools don't have any authority to suspend kids. So do you think schools have gotten worse with their behavior or better?
Worse.
Worse.
Wait, so how do you, what if you get in a fist fight? No suspension?
No suspensions.
What happens then?
Nah, the kids will just go to counselors or whatever, and then they're back in class.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Wow. How about detention?
No, detention, you're not allowed to have detention.
What, since when?
Well, it started a while ago, but then Gavin Newsom signed into law.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Because that you're denying a kid an equal right to recess.
Equal right to recess?
Yeah. And so you look at it and you go,
wow.
That's great, guys, but now schools have no authority.
Man, isn't that kind of problematic for you as a teacher?
Of course, that's why teachers are more frustrated, because the same policies have been enacted in school districts across the United States.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but then people want to look good. You're cooking the books, right? Because LAUSD goes, look, suspensions are down, right? So that must mean that schools are what? What are they trying to say? If school suspensions are down to the public thinks that schools are what? Better or worse? Better. It's the same thing. Like this will makes me laugh. Do you remember when they in Los Angeles when they lowered or they upped the amount that you could steal from 450 to 950?
What?
Right. So do you think from the felony was above 450?
Oh.
So it was about 10 years ago. So the thing is, do you think people ended up stealing more or less when now they knew they could steal up to 950? More, right? That's human nature. That they know that they can get rid of it. That's why LA turned into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, you know, and just absolutely insane. That's why we locked up, go into like Hollywood, and people think it's crazy that it's Fox News or whatever. Half of my Ralph's grocery store is locked up.
Oh. Right?
So do you think that they sold it to the public, dude, by going, yo, this is going to be, hey, we're not going to arrest people anymore for certain offenses. Do you think they sold it like that? No. Do you want to know what the term was called? Check this out. Ready? And it turned the cities into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It was called the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. Yeah, that's why I say, man, dude, politics is just one big lie, bro. Do you think back in the day, this has been going on forever, do you think they sold people on the Native Americans? When they stole their land, do you think that they said, well, hey, we're going to steal their land, and when they won't turn over, we're going to try to kill them? No, what did they call it to the public? What was the term? Manifest destiny. Right? And then the public just buys into it so that the government can do whatever they want. You were going to ask a question. What was it, man? There was something in your eyes.
The stealing thing doesn't make any sense. Why would they even do that? Why did they up the 950?
Well, guess what? In the last election cycle, they got it back down to 450.
Oh, that's good.
Because finally there was some common sense, you know, and it makes literally no sense. Like now you have a new system for grading that's going on, man. That's absolutely unreal.
What is it?
It's called equitable grading.
What is it?
So the word equity on paper in the textbooks just means equal access. Okay? But do you think it's called political redefinition? So politicians get a hold of it. Do you think that they use the word equity by the textbook, or do they attach a new meaning to it?
New meaning?
A new meaning. So what they do is that we need to make things equitable. So what they're doing, and it happened in my school, so when people, and can I look in this thing again?
Yeah.
So when people online say I'm making things up, it's at my school. What they did, ready? The new grading scale. And it happened in San Francisco, but it didn't pass. They shut it down because the news got a hold of it. You ready? 20% is a D.
Instead of F.
Yeah, remember? And then 40% is a C.
Hmm?
60% is a B. 80% is an A.
Okay.
So let me ask you, right? When a student knows that they no longer have to get 60% to get a D, they can just know 20% and get a D. Do you think that they work less or more?
Less.
It's such common sense things. But on paper, it cooks the books again, and now you have all these people that look like they are at least passing the classes. It's just, yeah.
Who's trying to push these things?
So you have multiple people that push it, but usually there's the original form of something. It's kind of like, I always say it's like communism. Communism on paper sounds amazing, right? But then when you get human beings involved, they change it around. Next thing you know, your leader's wearing a military outfit.
Yep.
And you're like, how did you go from blissful, everything is perfect on paper, utopia, to, hey, let's have a parade for our missiles.
Yeah.
And so the people that push it, I think that they want kids to look good. They want kids to feel good. And so, but they don't understand, I think, like that you're actually doing a kid a disservice later on down the road. Because now they're learning, hey, I can only know 20% of what I need to know for my job. These kids are learning that you can do and say whatever you want in the classroom. How do you think they're going to act when they have a job? Well, we've taught them. It's not the kid's fault.
Yeah.
We've taught them that that's acceptable behavior.
Man.
They get to the job, and now they're mouthing off to their boss. It's just asking them, hey, can you stock aisle 2? Man, get out of my face. You're like, what the? And then they're mad when they get fired. And they think the world is unjust. So, but anyway, man, I could go on and on about education.
It sounds like whoever's trying to push these things are not very knowledgeable about.
I think they want to feel good, but I think they're short-sighted. And I will say this, things that make you feel good, in the moment, always produce long-term...
Yeah, you can say that again.
bad consequences, right?
Yeah.
But everything that hurts and is painful in the moment, that you don't want to do, or whatever, always produces better long-term outcomes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... one of the greatest secrets, I think, to life, man, same thing with stand-up, right?
Yeah.
If you can delay what you believe gratification is in life, it's better for you.
Gotcha.
You know?
Oh, Chris, you might not remember this, but I was going to bring it up. You told me not to post certain things. You probably don't remember this, and you were right about that. When I was doing like this list of like women crushes or whatever, everybody was laughing at the open mic, but you actually told me some women are going to get offended. And they got really offended.
So I never told you to not post anything.
No, you did.
No. Do you remember what I said? No, you went to the stage.
Yeah. And I did it, but then you said, this is not a good idea to do it on social media.
No, I didn't say that. What I said to you was I said, Terry, do you remember what I said? I said, dude, that took a lot of balls.
Oh,
yeah,
you did
that?
say that. Yeah.
I said, that took a lot of balls.
Yeah.
I said, but you got to be careful doing something like that at open mics because it can make women feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Right, but even that, like, I didn't understand that it was weird. Because the people who are not on the list obviously got upset.
Isn't that funny? How dare you post that list? By the way, why am I not on it?
Yeah.
I am hot, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, man, dude, it's one of those things, like, I saw it, and I knew that what you were on was your own, like, personal journey to overcome I got to get over this and say this.
Oh, thank you. You're the only one who gets it then.
No, I get it. That's why I said to you when you got off stage, I said, Terry, that took balls.
Oh, thank you.
Because, dude, it's like me going on stage and telling people what it's like, what education is really like.
Oh.
Some people would get offended that I would be this real, right? But that's why I said, yo, that's what you did took balls, but you got to be careful because the open mic scene might make some women uncomfortable. And it's such a small scene, and then I'd hate for you not to get booked because someone's like, oh, it's Terry, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking out for.
I don't get booked anyway, so it's not a big problem.
Nice. You're like, my mom's the only one that watches this podcast. She's happy.
Yep.
But dude, we got to do that on stage, right? Is we have to push.
Be like misunderstood a little bit.
Well, most of my best material has actually come from when I first say it, I'm misunderstood.
Nice.
And then I smooth it out over time. Then it becomes, I know, and then the premise becomes, I know exactly what he's talking about. Now that isn't always, but when I'm dealing with like bigger subjects, you know, stuff that has a higher degree of difficulty to pull off and stick the landing.
Right.
So,
maybe that's like the kind of people that you want to get towards anyways. Because if you're just talking about things that everybody understands, then maybe
Well, like, it doesn't interest me to, like, the first comic that I ever met in LA that I got to talk to, and I really respected him too. He was already a regular at the store, was a guy named Sam Tripoli.
Oh, wow.
And so I was...
I know Sam.
Yeah, I was only 2 to 3 months into doing stand-up. And we were both... I was only 2 to 3 months into doing stand-up, maybe. And someone saw me at an open mic. They were a casting agent. And they said, I think you're going to be great for a commercial. Have you ever acted? And I said, in college, a couple plays. Come on out. Guess who I stood behind in line at the audition? Sam Tripoli. And I was like, dude, you're Sam Tripoli. And he's like, yeah. I go, you're one of my favorite comics. I've seen you go up at the store. And we were talking about how always swing for the fences, right? Because people, you can always choke up later on the bat to try to just get on base. But people that don't swing for the fences, that are just trying to bunt and get on, like the only way they're hitting a real home run is if people make mistakes in the outfield. But you can always smooth something over a period of time. But if you're starting with nothing, that's really hard to make into something. And I don't know about you, but it's like always pushing myself. All the little jokes, the simple jokes, just naturally come. Because it's like if you're up there long enough, you know, a joke about, I don't know, just getting older becomes easy to do. Because you're trying to go after stuff that, the bigger idea stuff. So.
I get you.
Yeah, man.
Chris, I think we have 5 more minutes.
Wow.
If I could ask, if you could talk to yourself in 2030, what would you say to your future self?
Ooh. Or do you mean if my 2030 self, let's say if I...
Yeah, you could do it like that, but
no,
you could
if
talk
I could,
to your future self.
I hope that I keep going all in on teaching.
Nice.
And I hope that we end up doing all of our sketches. I hope that we continue doing the podcast. I just hope I continue doing the stuff that I'm doing now.
Nice.
And keep building and building. And because I wasn't on social media, man, for 5 to 7 years. And if it wasn't for the podcast, that also made me push a little bit harder in stand-up too.
Oh, dang.
I don't know if I ever would have gotten back on it. So I just want to keep doing that.
It's one of the best phases of your life?
Right now, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm very lucky.
Nice, Chris.
And, you know, it's one of those things, dude, that...
That's awesome.
Yeah, you never know. It's... One of the things that we're learning is find your niche, right? And stay in that lane. But become really good talking about it.
Yeah.
So, in doing it, so like everything that I want to talk to people about, like my values, or politics or even dating, I can funnel it. By dating, I mean like dating other teachers or whatever. I could take all of these stories and funnel
nice.
it through teaching.
Did that happen?
Oh, it's happened.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's juicy.
Good and bad.
Oh, nice.
But it can be funneled through teaching,
Right.
and then I can be kind of that like, somewhat almost like an expert in that way, right? Or someone a voice to go to, and it's great because I can resonate with so many people out there that feel the same way. Trying to think what else I would say. Oh, I hope that if the housing market continues to come down, that I at least buy a condo.
Nice.
Dude, I talked so much. I know you're interviewing me, but
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, was there any other questions that you wanted to add?
Do your students know that you do all this?
They found all my stuff.
Oh shit! What do they say?
They love it.
Oh wow.
They absolutely love it. And the really cool ones that are awake come up to me and go, Mr. Dunham, you're right. I had a former student actually at a graduation that came up and talked to me about lowering standards. And he goes, yeah, Mr. Dunham, they try to do that in a couple of my classes at my high school.
Huh.
He goes, that you're right, that is bad for kids. And I looked at him and I said, hey, that's cool that you agree with me.
Yeah.
I go, but take in all of my opinions, take in everybody's, but always think for yourself.
Nice.
Right? Come up to your own conclusion of whatever it is.
This is like one of those Dead Poet Society things.
That's what's really cool, is connecting with kids on another level.
Nice.
And there are a couple times, because I can't ever say any names of kids online.
Yes.
But there's one clip where these girls had come up to me, and they were trying to hook me up with some of their former.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Their former chief. That actually happened this year.
Oh, dang.
So I couldn't say their names or anything like that, but they were so happy when they saw the clip, and they're like, Mr. Dunham, thanks. Because I said, they were like,
Because they felt involved.
They felt involved, and they were also so happy that could happen. But I would never talk anything super negative about a kid or anything like that. So, yeah.
Dang. I pray for your continued success, Chris. Podcast, comedy, everything, teaching. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, brother.
Yay. Thanks, Chris. That's fun.
Yeah, man. That went quick, huh?
Yeah. I'll tag you.
Aw, thanks, dude.